Welcome back to The Source. I'm John Robson, in for Ezra Levant. We're talking about education, the purpose of education, the question of character versus technical skills in school. You remember there was an issue in Quebec earlier this year with an office assistant who was moonlighting as a porn star, and the school board felt that this made her an inappropriate employee. We are now joined from Los Angeles by Sean Loftus. He's a former teacher who was fired for his background as a gay porn maker, and he joins us to talk about the question. Start with the big issue. Do you think that an important part of education is meant to be character formation?
I believe so. When the kids look up to a teacher, but our society's changing now. And I think the teachers need to change. They need to make more of a connection with the students and not just be this matronly woman, with authoritative speaking to the children. There needs to be a better connection between the teacher and the students. But the one point I'd like to make is I never brought my past into the classroom.
Yeah, you, as I understand it, had given up that career to concentrate on teaching. What were you teaching, by the way?
Well, I was a substitute teacher, so I taught anywhere from first grade to high school to 12th graders.
And any subject that they needed someone to fill in for?
Any subject, yeah. A teacher would leave instructions for me, and I would then teach the class. I took it wholeheartedly. There are some substitutes that I know about, especially in my district, that basically go in there, read a newspaper, and babysit the kids. I went in there and took the instructions of the teacher very seriously, and I wanted to make sure that even though the teacher wasn't there, that I continued the lesson plan.
Okay. And when you had quit your previous career, did you quit it because you decided it had not been a good way to spend your life and earn an income, or was it simply that were you tired of it, or did you decide that whatever its merits, you didn't think you should mix that with teaching?
Well, the first thing is that I stopped being in front of the camera. I started my company first I started being in front of the camera as a, porn star, quote unquote. And then I created a company around my image. And then from that image, I then created a further company that wasn't so surrounded by my image. The thing is that porn is not as lucrative in these days as everybody it is said to be in the media, multi-billion dollars. Well, a lot of those billions of dollars are now going to companies that are based in Europe, based in Ukraine, Russia, that are stealing content and not giving any royalties back. So what that did, the dynamics of that situation have caused us producers to cut fees. And model fees, and basically since I used to be a model, I'm cutting my fees too, and these poor models that were relying heavily on money of being in front of the camera, their income went way down.
But a lot of people would argue that pornography is degrading. A libertarian such as myself would not ban it, but we would say it takes something very special in human beings and turns into something that is tawdry. And so if someone said, look, I used to be in this business, but I realized it was wrong, then we would feel quite comfortable with them as a role model. I believe in repentance and forgiveness. But if you don't think that, if you're simply saying, well, I didn't like the economics of it, I felt mean about ripping people off, but the central feature of the industry is what I'm comfortable with, then I would say that this is setting a bad example.
I wouldn't say that the whole industry is demeaning. Porn is not porn. You just can't group it together and say that all porn is the same. There is porn that is extremely degrading to both men or women. I didn't run a company like that. I was very polite to my models. Most of my models wanted to do it. They wanted the extra income. Many of them had normal jobs, especially Europeans. So I didn't feel so bad about what I was doing until I see that young kids, which I barely ever used, 18 to the 26-year age range, that they were getting taken advantage of. They didn't know the repercussions of what they were doing. They were looking for quick money, and then the internet is forever. We didn't have this issue 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, so again, it's
So
clear that in any industry, people can mistreat employees and engage in unethical practices, but you don't feel
totally.
that if it's done right and if it's tasteful, the final product, that there's any reason not to think of this as a legitimate way for people to conduct themselves, express themselves, and fulfill themselves as human beings.
Correct. And like I said, with my business, I wanted to make sure that my models, I always warn my models, you understand that this is going to be out there for quite a long time, possibly forever. Somebody may dig this up on your past, that they understood the circumstances. I've had models, after I gave them my little speech, walk away and say, thanks for letting me know that. I'm now making a decision not to do this. So, and the other point I'd like to make is in the United States, my industry is not illegal. I pay taxes. I have a perfectly legal business.
Yeah, and that, you know, from my point of view, it is good that it is not illegal. But there are things that are not illegal that are still wrong. And that, especially when it's a formative influence on young people, we want teachers who actually set an example that is somewhat higher than merely, you can't arrest me for this.
No, I understand that. And like I said, when I wanted to put my past behind me and I walked into that classroom, I wasn't going in there and saying that anything about my past. The students didn't know anything about my past. The teachers, the whole school didn't know anything about my past. If it did ever come out, I would have liked to give the chance and say, listen, this is something you shouldn't do. We're overprotecting our children too much. And what I saw from the schools, from the I would say 6th graders on up, they are way more educated than what a lot of the parents think. They know way more than what I knew when I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, for example. I'm not saying that I wanted to go in there and tell them about mistakes I've made in my past in regards to my industry or, you know, per se. But my goal as a teacher was to keep them on the right track, keep studying, stop fooling around in class. That it's and also lessons on easy money. These kids nowadays, they're looking for the easy dollar, and it's highly concerning to me, and especially in this economy that we're dealing with.
Okay, Sean Loftus, former teacher, thank you for joining us to talk about the question of character and the responsibilities of a teacher outside the classroom.